if they don't take care of business in the next week and a half, I think we could look at it and say, well, they were the team that should have sold that bought.
Hello and welcome to the Pinstripe Post. My name is Ryan Sampson, the host and producer of the show. You guys know him. He's the star of the show, Joel Sherman. Today is Monday, August 11th. The Yankees lose 2 out of 3 to the Houston Astros over the weekend. And Joel, before we get to anything else, as always on a Monday morning, how are you doing? I know how I'm feeling, but I want to hear how you're feeling, sir.
I'm feeling good. I'll do it. I'll turn the camera. I had a little surgery last week. So I'm doing great. But
Are you okay?
yeah, I was wondering on camera because I'm doing TV tomorrow. Is this going to show up? I like that it's not going to show up. I'd have to do that. So yes, all good.
All right.
Needed to be done, but not time sensitive that I was able to wait to the end of the trade deadline to get it done.
Listen, I'm just happy you're okay. That's all I care about.
Thank you, Ryan.
And this is what, these Monday morning therapy sessions with what they turn out to be for Yankees fans, especially for fans that are watching. They get to hear you and how you feel, well, not feel, but what you're seeing and what you're analyzing from this Yankee squad. So it's not pretty right now, Joel. Another series loss for this Yankees team. They're in this massive slump, whatever you want to call it. But the general question here for the start of the show is, I got to be honest, is this just a bad baseball team, the Yankees?
Yeah, so I asked Aaron Boone at the press conference yesterday, if I eliminate hitting the ball over the fence, what do you do well? And he tried to make a case that they're a much better defensive team. And I actually think that there's probably something to that. I mean, if you think about it, Ryan McMahon is a really good third baseman. Wherever you put Cody Bellinger, he's like at least average to above average defensively. And I think he plays above average because I think his baseball IQ is so strong. Like every little thing, like it didn't really matter, but like sliding to cut a ball off yesterday down the line before it gets to the wall, which scores the run if it gets to the wall, understanding that in the way, like in left field, Dominguez doesn't get to a fly ball, then gets too close to the fence. The ball goes over his head, and Altuve scores from first base. Like it's the difference between high IQ baseball in right field and low IQ baseball in left field. So both of those happened yesterday. Chisholm is much better at second than at third. Who's Volpe? It's gotten a little better over the last week. It seems like if he had the yips, maybe it's better, but with the monsters in there. Goldschmidt isn't prime Goldschmidt, but it's still pretty good when he plays there. Judge, when he plays right, is very good. I mean, they should be better defensively. They have more athletes. It should play on the bases. But what should and what is are different things. And I always go back to this, Ryan, is if it's not your core belief system, then it's very difficult for it to play every day. Like I would say yesterday is a day, like I found it interesting. Max Fried clearly had a plan yesterday. He and good for, and I actually think the right plan. He was very team oriented, thoughtful, which is nobody's getting deep. And one of the reasons I'm not getting deep is I'm not throwing strike one. So he was determined yesterday. If you watch the game, I think it was like 23 out of 27 or whatever it was, first pitch strikes. And he got 2 outs on 3 fastballs to open the game. Unfortunately for him, one of the smartest players in the game is hitting third for Houston. He sees what's going on in a way that I feel like the Yankees don't adapt to the reality of the game, which is, hey, this is what we watched on video and whatever. Jose Altuve and Carlos Correa feel the game, right? They feel the game. Altuve sees what Glavin's doing. He says, I'm going to ambush if I'm selling out for a first pitch fastball. I'm selling out for a first pitch fastball. He does, and he hits it into the left field stands. By the way, the next at bat, he gets down 2 strikes. He flicks a ball to right field and gets a single. Like, it's feeling the game. The next at bat, I believe he struck out, but he noticed that McMahon was playing deep. He opens the at bat by trying to bunt. It's the difference between feeling the game and not being a computer program, being loaded with all the information. It's okay to have all the information, but then you've got to feel the game. And I've always thought that the Astros have had it over the Yankees during this period because guys like Correa, Altuve, Bregman in particular are so great at feeling the game, at understanding and being able to play in big moments with great calm. They all have, like, I know Yankee fans will hate this because they hate the Astros so much. To me, they all have Jeter-esque qualities,
Yeah.
which is that ability at the biggest moment to slow it down and think it out. What is needed for this moment? Bellinger does that. I think Goldschmidt does that. I don't think the Yankees do that. And I don't think they emphasize it. And so you could say we talk about it, you could say we go over it, but it's either your culture or it's not your culture. And the Yankee culture is ball go over fence, we win. Ball don't go over fence, woo, big trouble, right? They got a timely homer on Saturday, they won. They didn't hit homers on Friday and Sunday, they lost.
It's part of
I
that
think,
approach that you had talked about on a couple of shows earlier, Joel. Sorry to interrupt you, but you had talked about this a couple of shows earlier. You said, Ryan, I don't understand this offensive team's approach. It's all home run or nothing again. And it shouldn't be, because you have enough athletes on this team and you have enough guys on this roster that they can get on base and they can make damage. But it's just the approach, Joel, of why are we swinging for homers every single time we're at the plate, or we're just striking out? It just, yesterday was such a lifeless performance, it felt like.
well, it's casino baseball. I will say that in the early innings, they're probably thinking, they have 7 left-hand hitters in against, forgive all the jokes that are going to come from a pitcher named Jason Alexander pitching
Right.
at Yankee Stadium, the assistant to the traveling secretary stuff, yada, 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 etc. But that's about the number 10 starter for the Astros. He's right-handed. The Yankees hit a lot of balls, I think, well in the first 3 innings of the game that kind of got to the warning track and didn't get out on a really hot day, like you would think they'd normally get out. And to me, it was almost like, I always I once saw I think it was a documentary about the Thriller. I'm not the Foreman Frazier fight, the Foreman Ali fight, uh, where Ali wins the title back, knocks him out in the 8th round, and he's tired Foreman out by doing rope a dope, and he's Foreman is hitting him, and eventually, Ali just says he's the biggest hitter in the division, right? He says, "Is that all you got?" And George Foreman said in his head, "Yep, that's it." And he knows at that point, I can't knock him out. I'm screwed. And he himself tires out, and Ali knocks him out in the 8th. I think the Yankees are like that. They got to the 3rd inning, they hit a bunch of fly balls to the warning track, and they were like, "Well, they didn't go out. All right. I mean, we're not going to try to bunt. We're never going to hit and run. We're never going to put a man in motion. There wasn't a lot of opportunities. They're getting no hit by Jason Alexander for half the game, but essentially the ball didn't get out early on, and they did. I think you would go and say, "Wow, well hit ball." I thought Rice had a well hit ball. I thought Bellinger had a well hit ball. I thought Judge had a well hit ball. Like, there were well hit balls early in the game, and they went deep, 340, 350 to the wrong parts of the ballpark, and they didn't get out. And it was like they said, like they were foremen, and they just said, "Yep, that's it. We don't have another trick." And the Astros kind of have another trick. They get the ball out of the stadium, but they run the bases well. And look, I I know it's easy at a moment where the Brewers are going well to point this out. I didn't see the Brewer Met game yesterday because I was at the Yankee game. But Friday and Saturday, when I was still in kind of a little bit of recovery from this, I'm watching a lot of baseball. I watched all 18 innings of Brewers Mets, those 2 games. And Mike Vaccaro is one of my best friends, and I love Mike. And I send text to him and a bunch of people. I have text strings, and I'm just like, the Brewers are the worst team in the world you could play if you're on a losing streak. Because there's 2 ways they win a game. They win and you lose. They will force you to lose the game. They won't lose the game. You have to beat them. You must beat them. They're only giving you 27 outs. They're running the bases hard and smart. Like, and they hit just enough homers. You can't live without homers. There were big homers in this series, especially Contreras hit big homers, and obviously Isaac Collins to walk off the Mets yesterday. There were big home runs in this series by the Brewers, but like they, it's almost like they get 30 outs. You're going to make 3 mistakes against them, and they're going to turn 27 outs into 30. You're only getting 27. You better figure out how to do a lot with 27. Plus, they have one fire breather after another coming out of their bullpen with different looks. So if they get a lead, it's a big problem. And by the way, they're doing this. Mizorowski is now on the IL.
Mhm.
Churio is on the IL. That's their best hitter and best starting pitcher. Please, I don't want to hear like, oh, Cole's out or Schmidt's out. Like, this is a team with a $90 million payroll doing this. And they cherish 90 feet. They cherish taking care of the ball. Their guys put pressure. There's something about, again, most routine ground balls are routine in the major leagues, it's the major leagues. But there's an advantage, right? Like, this as a Yankee fan, right? You know this. Put pressure on Volpe and make him make a throw.
It's the
Even on a
scouting report on
routine,
him.
even on a routine ball, put some pressure on him. Well, you don't think that's true about other infielders in the game?
100%.
Like the other day, I'm trying to think. Was it Dubon at second base was having some troubles throwing to first, and the Yankees are still trotting to first base. Like, again, they're not playing the game in front of them. They're playing the game they imagined in their meeting. Well, Dubon has showed you he's yipping it a little bit today. Everyone in the dugout should be saying, "Hey, man, 100% down the line when the ball." By the way, that should be routine. But if you can't work it up for 162, at least work it up for all the ground balls to second base today. Is anybody watching the game? And
It's
to
it.
me, that's an inherent, like, it's either your philosophy
Mhm.
or it's we hit homer, we win. We don't hit homer, we don't win. Caveman, help me. Like, that's very much who they feel like. And that's even getting more athletic, getting more defensive. Like, I could change the elements of any business staff in the world. But if I don't change the core principles of a business staff, whether it's an office or a baseball team, that culture is not going to change. And so I always ask, is anybody saying we are going to be the aggressors today? We are going to make the other team earn their 27 outs on both sides of the ball. They're precious. There's only 27 a day on both sides of the ball. Make them count. Put, like, how hard is it? And again, I don't need Charlie Hustle, but there is major league effort to run to first base. Major league effort. That's not shuffling your feet, not looking cool. Major league effort, 95%. Like, go look at the Yankees sprint speeds to first base, and go look at how many guys say fall below Ben Rice, who you would not think are slower than Ben Rice. Like, look at that. And I would bring that into a room to the guys and say, you have a slower sprint speed to first base than Ben Rice. You have a slower. Do you have the ability to be embarrassed? This is unacceptable. This is major league average.
So
What you
there's
you should like so again, to me, Ryan, I'm sorry, I know it's long-winded, but like, you are what you emphasize.
yeah,
You could change the cast of a movie, but if you don't change the director, you're going to have the same movie.
and it's a bad movie. It's a bad team.
Right
It's a
now, it's a
bad.
very bad team, and it's not for a short period of time. A third of a season's a long time, right? They're 20 and 31. I mean, I
It's
looked it
11
up
games under 500.
just quickly. The Tigers had stretches worse than this last year and made the playoffs. The Diamondbacks had stretches worse than this in 23 and got to the World Series. Like, the 6-team format creates lots of forgiveness over the course of the year. There is a better version of the Yankees inside this group. I don't know if they're going to get there. And Ryan, this is going to be my clarion call every week. With everything that goes wrong, that has gone wrong with this team, I still feel the landmine that has been out there all year is one more starting pitching injury. I mean, Ryan Yarborough threw, I believe it was supposed to be 2 innings in live BP yesterday, and then I guess is now going to start a rehab. He is your next line. He's not ready, and he's your next line of defense for a starting pitcher. If it's not him, it's going to be Kenta Maeda, who in his last 3 starts in the minor leagues has been very good, but I don't know what the minor leagues is. Alan Winans is good in the minor leagues. To me, Kenta Maeda is just a different version of Carrasco and Stroman, veteran right-handers whose best days are well behind them. who have marginal major league stuff and are probably going to get beat up. And the scary thing for the Yankees is the 5 guys who are going to go round and round include Cam Schlittler. No, no. Like maybe that will be really good. Will Warren, who's up at 24, 25 starts already, is he going to hit the finish line? No, no. This version of Max Fried, that hasn't been very good for a month and a half. Carlos Rodon, again, you talk about a guy who isn't reading the scoreboard as the game's going on. To me, a lot of this bad period, this short of bad period, begins with losing that Friday night game in Miami, where all the new relievers get bombed. And I still say the Yankee goat of that game, lowercase goat, is Carlos Rodon, who with a 6-0 lead is still trying to strike everybody out and throws 103 pitches in 5 innings and leaves like what guys score, and he changed the complexion of the game. And it's like, he's a veteran pitcher. You need to do better than that. And the fact that somebody, the pitching coach, another veteran pitcher, didn't grab him and say, throw it right down the middle, let him hit a home run, prove they can hit a home run. If they do, then start pitching. Like, again, what's your culture? What's your ability to tell a guy a tough truth in real time? And Luis Heel just came back. Number 2 start was better than number 1. Is he getting to the finish line? I just think if they don't get in with everything that's a problem, and you and I have detailed these problems week after week, I still feel like the depth of their starting pitching is not there. Now, this is it is interesting. It does seem the Yankees are building really good starting pitching depth in the minor leagues. That's 1 year away. The Ben Hess, the Cunninghams, the Elma Cruz, Rodriguez,
Grange.
like they have like LaGrange. It all feels a year away where those guys will be options for them. But again, how good will they be? We don't know. But there's nobody sitting at AAA who is like the earlier graduate of them. That's Schlittler and Warren. I think they had hoped it would be Chase Hampton, who's had Tommy John surgery and is out until whenever. And obviously Cole and Schmidt are gone. I just feel like if it goes horribly wrong the rest of the way, it's because they're now up to 10 straight games of getting one combined out in the 6th inning. One combined out in the 6th inning in 10 straight games. So like the philosophy of the starting pitching of the New York Yankees is go hard for as long as you can and not go long. And like, again, it's why I give Fried credit yesterday, even pitching poorly. He understood the responsibility. He was desperately trying to go long. He got it. He was throwing the ball over the plate. The Astros were great at defeating 2-strike pitches. They were elongating counts. They were getting on base. I think Fried understood the job yesterday and wasn't up to it, which is a scary thing on the other side. Because, did he kind of spend himself with those first 17 starts where he was a top 5 AL Cy Young candidate? He was second in the major leagues in ERA. But I give him credit for at least reading the situation. He read the situation correctly. The Yankees were desperate for innings, and he was desperately trying to give it to them. And he didn't.
He didn't because
and now you see, like, rebuild bullpen or not, the Mets and the Yankees have the same problem. They're asking bullpens to get too many outs.
Yeah.
Again, on a piece of graph paper, each individual reliever will look good. What's the chances 4 are going to pitch good in a night? You saw it even in the game the Yankees won where Duvall blew up, right? It was good Duvall.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't good. And so to me, it's like if their starting pitchers stay healthy, they could get in, but they are going to overexpose their bullpen, even with these 5 guys, because all Cam Schlittler has been taught to do in the minor leagues is get outs, as many outs as you can with your best stuff, and never think about craft for 1 second. I think I said this on this show last year for the first time. If I ran a minor league system, every 5 starts, I would tell a starter. Because remember, everything is reward punishment. Guys are rewarded with promotions from A to double A to triple A to major with stuff plus? Are you missing bats? Are you doing this? I would make part of our internal core. If I ran the Reds, the Phillies, the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Mets, whoever, every 5 starts, we're going to do, hey, our starter yesterday lasted an inning and a third, and we had an injury, and we have to use an opener tomorrow. The most important thing you could do is get a minimum of 18 outs, and we're asking for 21. Do what you can. Like, I need to teach you a skill in the minor leagues that might be necessary in the major leagues. It's not teaching somebody that's something that's going to be vital. I understand that having great stuff is 80 to 90% of this. But the final finishing thing is approaching a game the way that Max Fried did, even in failure yesterday.
Yeah.
And I remember asking Clark Schmidt a few years ago. It was a game where the Yankees were desperate for innings. And Clark Schmidt went out and gave them like 4 2/3 great innings, but 100 pitches. And I said, did anyone ever talk to you about this in the minors? And he said, no. And I said, that's impossible to me. That's impossible to me. Like, what am I only that's again teaching home runs only. And you are what you emphasize. And if I'm not telling you every 5 starts that do not worry about your ERA, don't worry about your ERA. What the key thing today is outs. We might have to sacrifice games every once in a while to protect the bullpen over 162 games. And you will be the among the most, and I use the word heroically carefully, very carefully here, okay? Because it's baseball. We're not talking about somebody policing, firemen, soldiers, etc. But on a baseball field, about the most heroic thing I've ever seen was Nathan Eovaldi throwing 6 innings of relief. It was like a day or two after he started, for the Red Sox had run out of pitchers in the World Series. And he ends up losing the game. Max Muncy takes him deep in the 18th inning at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm at Dodgers. And the Red Sox lost the game. I went in the Red Sox clubhouse. There were players crying that night, understanding what Eovaldi had done to allow them to, they then, I think, win the next 3 games in the World Series, or the next 2 games in the World Series. He had allowed everyone else to rest. He allowed everyone else to rest. And that won the World Series for the Red Sox. And sometimes you have to pitch 7 innings on June 22nd and take a little bit of a beating for the overall good of the team. But you have to have veteran people around you, manager, pitching coach, infrastructure, to say, dude, we are not punishing you. You're not going to the minor leagues after this game. If you like 6 runs in 7 innings, it's not great. Like, try to win the game. But I'm telling you, you got to get us 21 outs today. 21 outs is the most important thing to do on June 22nd.
Not the amount of strikeouts, not the amount of what, now how low your ERA is. It's about getting the 21 outs.
I was stunned watching the Rodon game on that Friday night, because that's a failure by a veteran pitcher. Again, the inability to think, both, like, the game is now on. Whatever your strategy was going in the game, you're up +6. You have a bunch of new relievers sitting out there. You want to make this as soft a landing as possible for them in their first entry, right? Like, let's not put them in jeopardy. Exchange some base runners and even runs for outs. You got 6 runs in 3 innings. You're probably going to score 9 or 10. Think about the bigger picture of the game. Why is that not understood by Rodon? Matt Blake is no longer some high school guy like when he came. He's a veteran pitching coach. Grab his jersey, look in his eyes, and say, throw it over the plate. You can't, by the way, it's Carlos Rodon. You can't throw it over the plate anyway. Aim for the middle. You're not going to hit the middle. You'll still probably strike guys out. Your stuff is so good. Where's Boone to say to Blake to do that? Where's Boone to do that? Where's Judge or Stanton to say,
Joel,
God, like, it's 6-0. I know we're the feel good party. Nobody says anything negative. It's 6-0. If you walk another guy, I'm going to take a bat and hit you. Like, at some point, who are you? Like,
They're
who are you?
they're a poorly run, bad baseball organization and a bad baseball team.
I think that's
It's
over.
repeat,
Like I think if you
but
watch
this
what some other teams do, it's like they have a real blind spot here. They have
it
a real
of
blind
playing
spot.
baseball though, Joel. It's
Yes.
playing baseball.
Hey,
It,
look,
it's about
nobody has
winning the
stuck
game.
their
Not I'm worried about what's happening in the future and it's right in front of us. Bullshit. It's not right in front of you because you're not addressing what's happening today. You're accepting what's happening today of not getting enough outs from your starting pitching, only hitting for home runs in the game, and not situationally where Jason freaking Alexander is on the mound right now and he's no hitting us. Can someone get on base and walk and try and steal a base and get this guy flustered? Or maybe running to first and hustling, like you just so eloquently put with Dubon, who's throwing balls in the dirt towards first. But we don't pay attention to those things because what we're focused on is we have Aaron Judge, we have Giancarlo Stanton, we have Jazz Chisholm, we have Paul Goldschmidt, Cody Bellinger, we have Cam Schlittler, we have Will Warren, we have Luis Hill, we have flamethrower after flamethrower in the bullpen. We have an insane amount of talent. We should be able to win as many games as we need to get in the playoffs, and it's anybody's dance at that point. That's the bullshit and the hypocrisy that I hear from this franchise that Brian Cashman emphasizes to all of these guys. And I think that is what you're seeing in the minor leagues because players that come up from the minors are the same way. And they don't understand the situation of baseball. And they don't understand how length helps the game. And if they need to get proper outs in the starting rotation, they can do that. If they need to get on base and wear a pitcher down because it's a guy who's a 10th starter on the roster, I can try and do that. But that's what this team lacks, Joel. And it's been
Are
continuously
you
getting
actually
worse.
wait? I want to stop you. Are you actually lecturing me on this? Like, because it's
No,
interesting because like nobody has had a bullhorn about how badly they play baseball for about 18 months, like I have, and you've just gone on about a 3-minute diatribe as if you're telling me this for the first time, as
no, no,
opposed
no.
to that I have spoken about this publicly for and written about it for a long time. I think I detailed it in the World Series by getting essentially the Dodgers scouting report, uh, more than anybody has. Like, I get it. I get it. I get it. This is not good. In the thing that would bother me. So I think there's two things here. Why I'm not if the Yankees win or lose, I get paid the same. I don't
Mm-hmm.
give a shit. I really I I think I told the story the last week where it was like I finally wanted something positive to happen in a Yankee game. I needed Camilo Doval to get 3 outs before giving up a run in that Friday night game so I could save a column. And that was the first time I cared about the outcome of a game in I can't remember how long. And Doval blew up and didn't get the outs. And it was a reminder, don't give a shit. You can't control it. I get it. It really matters to you and the other fans. It doesn't to me. But I like to see the game played well at a high level. And I am there to review the movie, the play, the baseball game, whatever. And when I'm there, why does it bother me more than it bothers them? Because
Hmm.
I have no stake in it.
Mm-hmm.
If they go 80 and 82 and miss the playoffs, and then they either clean house or they don't, it impacts me not at all. I don't care. I'll be covering the postseason. I'll cover the World Series. I'll go to the GM meetings. I'll go to the winter meetings. We'll handle all the free agency and trades. Who's ever in charge, whatever. I don't give a fuck. Right? But when I watch the bad baseball and it gets under my skin, why is it you're reacting angrily at me
Oh, no, I
for
was.
pointing? No, no, not you. I'm talking
Oh
about the
yeah,
Yankees.
yeah. The Yankees.
Like
When
you're a
you
Bucks
question
person.
them,
Yeah, like they're angry at me for pointing out what they should be furious about. Like they should be furious. And now my question is, are you so baseball dumb that you do not know it's a problem? Or do you just not like to be questioned from the outside? It's the you didn't wear a jock, you don't understand bullshit, whatever. Like as I always point out, like the guy who wins a Pulitzer Prize for writing a biography of George Washington didn't serve in the Revolutionary War, but he figured it all out. Like I understand how the wheel works without having played shortstop for the Dodgers. Um and
or is there an arrogance to it, Joel, of like
so
where the
I but
Yankees?
so I think that the arrogance is born from an echo chamber. which
Okay.
is, have all the people been at the party so long and they ultimately, like I understand it's not what their fans want, but their belief system is win 90 plus and give yourself as many chances to win a World Series as possible. And if you do that, you'll win World Series. By the way, same philosophy as the Dodgers, same philosophy as the Mets, same philosophy as the Brewers. Like, the idea is to get as many cracks at this as possible. Championships are hard to win, and the Yankees have not played well in October or been healthy enough in October. And I think that they'd say, you beat up our systems and philosophies, but it gets us constant shots at doing this. And I'm like, now I do think that there is a crapshoot element to the postseason without it being a crapshoot.
Mm.
And I think that the elements that you emphasize during the regular season, when you do not play baseball well in October and the other team isn't the White Sox, you're going to be more exposed. And so that's where the crapshoot goes out, which is, again, I've seen them eliminated 4 times by the Astros. And I would say that in all 4 of those series, a determining factor, a significant determining factor, was the Astros were better at baseball than the Yankees. They were better at baseball. Like, it wasn't a crapshoot. It was like Alex Bregman's baseball IQ. You could tell me all about banging trash cans. His baseball IQ in the 2017 ALCS helped swing a series. That's how good it was. That's how important it was to do that. It was a 7-game series. Trust me, if Josh Donaldson was playing third base, I think the Yankees win the ALCS, or some of the people who've lined up for the Yankees over the years. Like, I, I shouldn't have just done that for Donaldson. Like, a lot of, or a good third baseman who can't think out of a game and perform under pressure would have bobbled the hell out of the moments that Bregman didn't in 2017. So, like, there's that. And so I think what the Yankees haven't done is, I think that they kind of get in a room and they look at each other and they have the trust of years that we know how to get to the finish line with 90 plus wins and get in. That even now they believe in that infrastructure. And and again, as dispassionate about it, I understand generally the fuck the outside world. We know what we're doing. It's hard to get in every year,
Yeah.
even with a large payroll. Look at the Mets, like, struggling this year, like they're having the struggles in year 2 under, like, Stearns, like when they were supposed to cakewalk in it. Like, it's even hard to get in with expanded playoffs. We get in every year, we whatever. But I think over the years, to not appreciate and be so slow, so slow. So like Boone will look at me, and whether he believes it or not, and I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, that they are good at things that I don't think they're good at. But he was also the guy for 2 years who told me Gleyber Torres was average or above average at shortstop, because something on a piece of graph paper was above what we were watching. That Gary Sanchez was a championship level catcher, that having an all right hand hitting lineup was not detrimental to winning. Like, they went through multiple years of that. And the fact that they changed means that it was wrong, but it took them a long time to change. It took them a long time to change. So it feels very Titanic-y, which is, we know what we're doing, but it takes a long time to turn the boat away from the iceberg.
Oh yeah.
And to me, there's a lack of nimbleness, and like I almost wonder with a team. I was thinking about this the other day. I wonder what you think about this. I think they should hire multiple scouts who never come to their building and never interact with anyone but Hal and Cashman. And they should go up and down the Yankee system and watch it. And they should watch the major league team. And they should report and say, it isn't reporters who are saying that you're bad at this. It isn't, you're bad at this. And here's why. Here's 10 things you do. Like, and you have to decide, like, some of it is, you could say it's eyewash. You could say the next hitter helping the runner coming from third, whether to stand, slide, in, out, high, low, whatever, is eyewash. I don't think it's eyewash. I think if you don't do it at the right moment, it's a postseason game or not.
Yeah.
You could tell me that, like, it looks cool to drop your head when somebody else is catching a pop-up. But I'd say, to what purpose? To what purpose? I understand 999 out of 1,000 times the guy's going to catch the pop-up. But if he doesn't, you're going to be the last to know. Like, this is all minor stuff. Minor. But I watch the Yankees and Mets play every day. And the Yankees aren't good at little things. And the fact that it doesn't bother everyone. Like, Cody Bellinger is on the team. And that guy gets every 90 feet he should get. He cuts off every ball in the gap he should. He knows what base to throw to every time. Why isn't that as addictive as ball go over fence? Like, I think there's, now this is maybe just how my brain works, Ryan. I think there's something fun about playing the game well. I think there's a joy in that. Like, you know, like the Harlem Globetrotters used to come out and do a weave and a layup line, and they just made it enjoyable because they had perfected it to music and everything. They move the ball beautifully. They control the ball beautifully. There was style there, but there was control to what they did. If you can do style with substance, great. If you can't, just do the substance, because 90 feet really matters every day.
And
It really
again,
does.
it's like you said, it's what you emphasize. It's what they're emphasizing, and it's clearly not. They're not emphasizing the right things. We'll call it point blank. That's what the Yankees are. They're not emphasizing the right things, and they're in this current situation that
emphasizing
they're at.
home runs is vital. It's the most important thing in the game is putting the ball over the fence. The question is that all you're emphasizing? In other words, if
it sounds like it is. It sounds like that's what they're only
I
emphasizing right now.
think they'd argue with us, Ryan,
Which is
but
fine. But we're not in that room.
But I think they'd argue with us. But again, I think the delivery system and punishment and reward is how this goes. And I just feel like being around them, that they're not a chalkboard, go over it and go over it team. When there are mistakes they make or great things, like I would show that, like I would put the Bellinger play and the Dominguez play up from yesterday. I would put it up and say, hey guys, look at how Bellinger feels the game. He understands. He's trying to save that run from first base from scoring. If it gets to the wall, it scores. Instead, he left second and third. He gave the pitcher an outlet, understanding, get over, get a good angle, slide, goalie, stop the ball, come up throwing. Right? Perfect. Dominguez, bad jump, probably should still get to the ball, isn't going to get to the ball, gets way too close to the fence. The ball hits the fence, caroms over his head, runner scores from first base. I would show them both. Let's talk about it. Why did both happen? What can we do to make sure that it, like the good one happens a lot and this doesn't happen again? Like literally put it up. Like sometimes you have to talk about the stuff that goes wrong and really drill down on it and make it a positive, an opportunity. This is a bad play. Why is it a bad play? What were you thinking? How can you do it better? What practices can we go out and hit the ball over your head a bunch to practice balls off the wall here? Especially in your home ballpark. You're playing 81 games. No surprise caroms. Ever. Yeah. Ever. You got to get them down to 0. Can't be fooled by a carom in your ballpark. You play there 81 times. So let's go out and practice this. And I just, if they're doing it, then they either aren't teaching it well enough while doing it, emphasizing it well enough, or they've just hit a level of players with low baseball IQs who can't get it. And at some point, I think that culture is why they fall apart at about this time every year, because it becomes exhausting to do the right thing over and over. And more than ever at this time of year, they become if it goes over the fence, we can win. And if it doesn't, we don't. This is 4 straight years of at this time playing significantly under 500 for a significant stretch. And once is whatever, twice maybe a coincidence. Is 4 years in a row where they've hit a swoon of significance for a least 30 to 50 games at the middle junction of the season. Do you want to give them credit for pulling it back together and getting in all but the year where Judge was hurt? All right. But I don't think a well-run team hits this kind of lull. Again, every team is going to have a 10 and 12, a 10 and
100%.
14, every team. But why 10 and 20s? Why 15 and 30s? That is not good. Teams stay away from that level of performance. And the extra wild card is a protection level from it, but that shouldn't be the goal of a mega team. And the Yankees, their words, they want to be the Death Star. They want to be the mega team. And they have to, the fact that they haven't gone to school and figure out what happens in this middle third, this middle quarter for multiple years in a row, this malaise that hits their game and makes them look so bad, that lack of homework, that lack of internal examination is a real black mark on the group.
It really is. And I hope the owner's paying attention, but we'll see. Joel, we'll spin it forward because there is still baseball left to be played here, and we're in almost mid-August here. They start a series against the Twins. They own the Twins in their history. Twins sold off a bunch at the deadline because of how they were in that middle pack and they really weren't making it strides to win the division. We'll see what happens, but what do the Yankees have to do immediately in order for them to get back into a position of feeling better about themselves and get this somehow moving in a positive direction? Is it all really tied to Aaron Judge? Because that's scary if we really have to be relying just on that turning this season around.
So I wrote about this all off of the game yesterday. It's in Monday's post. It's up on nypost.com if you want to read it, which was the two things. Like, look, there's no more. It's all in front of us. The Twins are coming to town. And for the last quarter century, playing the Twins has been the get out of jail, get well card for multiple generations of Yankees. And the downside, like they've played the Twins 6 times in the playoffs since 2003. They're 6 for 6 against them. I think the combined games is like, I forget now if it was 14-2 or 16-2, something like that. But the overall winning percentage against the team is 123-45 since 2002. 123-45. They've lost one season series in like 23 years to Minnesota. And so I point out the 6 playoff teams because even good Minnesota teams couldn't beat them. Now they're facing a team where they just lost to the Astros who have Carlos Correa. He came from Minnesota. Like the Twins traded half their roster. This is, like the danger zone, which is they lose tonight or they lose tomorrow, and Joe Ryan is sitting on Wednesday, who's the last special play. Him and Buxton, and I think Buxton might even be hurt. Ryan
He's supposed to be coming back, I think, in the next 3 days. At least that's what the manager said. So,
right. So you're down to 2 special players after you've kind of given all this up. Like they gave up their 4 best relief pitchers at the deadline. What this is 2 out of 3 minimum sweep has to be in play. By the way, you mentioned the middle teams. The middle teams included Minnesota, St. Louis, and Tampa Bay. Those are the next 3 teams on the schedule. Minnesota and St. Louis. Minnesota sold more than anyone. St. Louis sold, and the Rays kind of did a little what they usually do, buy and sell, but they're in a bad spot. They're in that moment. By the way, you're playing, I think it's a 2-game series. You're essentially playing 2 more home games at Steinbrenner Field at the end of this. I guess you could hope that you're going to have I talked about this last week. They had a magical September in 1995. They were 5 games under 500 in late August in 95 and had the second best September in their history and got in by a game. And that was a single wild card year. Can they do that again? I guess everything's possible. right? Like, it's funny to me to watch. Like last year, the Tigers gave up and got in. This year, they were dominant. And, Cleveland, which is right on the Yankees' neck, is what, 4 or 5 behind Detroit now. So
They're
it's a
6
long,
behind Detroit right now.
yeah. So it's a long season. Stuff happens. If the Yankees played 550, 575 ball the rest of the way and got in with even a level of comfort, I wouldn't be surprised. They do have talented players. They have a way to win. I think if we watch these other teams every day, if we were doing a Blue Jay webcast, we'd be doing, look at this. If we were doing a Red Sox, if we were doing
The Red Sox play
Tiger,
baseball well, though. Like, they got a good
well,
manager in Alex Cora.
I think if you watch the Red Sox every day, you might have a different opinion, or you bring on someone from Boston about their era level and stuff like that. They frustrate their manager a lot, and I think he's a terrific manager.
Yeah.
But I'm just pointing out that everybody has flaws. I still, again, think the flaw that kills the Yankees this year hasn't even really reared its head fully yet. I mean, it's reared its head because Cole and Schmidt aren't pitching,
Right.
but to me, that's the area that still is worrisome. But just in this short period, you got Minnesota, St. Louis, and Tampa. These are teams that, emotionally and structurally took huge hits at the end of July. And while you were one of those teams that were teetering in July and added 6 players, now 2 of them are on the injured list already, the right-hand guys, but I believe they only face right-hand starters in this period. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I think Minnesota, St. Louis, and Tampa are all throwing only righties against them. So it isn't like, oh, this would have been the place to stick Slater or Rosario. Those guys would have come in for lefty
Yeah.
relievers later in the game. But I think that this is a all righty period, about 9 days in a row,
It's
where,
TBD on Tuesday for the Twins. They're playing Matthews tonight, who's a right hand thrower,
yeah,
and then Joe Ryan, the right hander, on Wednesday. So yeah, if
yeah.
if they throw another
I
righty tomorrow, then it's all 3 righties.
Yeah. So I mean, look, if you have a lefty, you want to throw him against the Yankees. So if it's TBD and they could stick someone in there, but I think the way they had, I looked at how things lined up, and I think it was 9 for 9,
Okay.
something like that. And Mark Sanchez did the same thing from the Post. He sent me something, and I think we were in agreement who the next 9 would look like. So,
Ben Rice, come
but
on down.
and by the way, I think Ben Rice had great at bats yesterday. I thought he was the only one. Besides the fact that he got the first hit in the game, I thought all of his I think his at bats recently have been terrific. But it's kind of been him and Bellinger, and when Stanton plays, Stanton is a little hit or miss, but when he hits, wow. And but the other part of the column that is in today's paper and up online at nypost.com, Ryan, is if you look at their recent history, they've been superstar driven. And when their superstars play great, I think this is another thing that cons them into not caring about the baseball. And I went back. So forgive me, I think I'm going to get this right. But 2021, Judge finishes fourth in MVP, Cole finishes second in Cy Young. They get it. In 2022, Judge hits 700 homers or whatever he hits. They get in on his back. The next year, Judge gets hurt, but Cole wins the Cy Young, but Judge's injury coincides with the fault. They don't get in. Last year, Soto and Judge finished 1-3 in the MVP. It covers up tons of sins for them. This year, when they had the third best record in baseball through June 12th, Fried is arguably second or third for AL Cy Young, and Judge is the MVP of the whole sport, not just the AL. Well, since then, Judge has both descended and got hurt, and Fried had the blister and descended. And the chorus, what you count on to be like, let's play baseball well. Let's win the games when Judge doesn't hit a homer. Let's win the games when Fried doesn't pitch well. It's not the psyche of the team. It's not the culture of the team. And therefore, they don't win. They sit around and they wait for heroes and homers. It's the H&H of their thing. And oftentimes, because of the way their payroll is structured, they have heroes and they have homers. And this year, they certainly have homers, but it hasn't been as frequent in the second half of the season, in all the games in particular. There's a lot of unplugged games. And when they don't have the heroes and they don't have the homers, all the things they're not good at really crest. And again, the fact that it bothers their fan base, reporters, more than it seems to kill a team whose standard is and should be parade or bust, then there's something wrong with the infrastructure. And I think that everyone's been at the party for a long time. And if somebody within the group doesn't stand up and say, and have the balls to say, sometimes the king is not wearing any clothes, and we're not that good at baseball. And why, even as we get better baseball players, are we continuing to have these issues where we cannot win a game by playing baseball well, especially after the first third of the season for 4 straight years? There's something that becomes mentally weak about us as the season goes along. This shouldn't be unacceptable to Ryan Sampson. It shouldn't be unacceptable to Joel Sherman. It should be unacceptable to Hal Steinbrenner. It should be unacceptable to Brian Cashman. It should be unacceptable to Aaron Boone. It should be unacceptable to Aaron Judge. These are the people who ultimately, this era of Yankee baseball, the mark will go on them.
Yep.
The mark will go on them. And if this team continues to topple and falls even out of an ugly first round playoff loss, but simply doesn't make the playoffs at all, I think it's very, very hard to justify whatever you leave intact, not bringing in a voice that has not just as window dressing. Hey, Brian Sabian's in the room. Omar Manaya's in the room. A voice that says, you're doing it wrong. And if you don't change, that is lunacy, because you will keep repeating this. Because there's no way to watch this and say they play an acceptable level of baseball. They do one thing well. They hit a ball over the fence. They used to do 2 things well for a long time. They used to do that and really bullpen. And it's
Yes.
funny, like watching their bullpen, it's like, oh, you know who's succeeding in their bullpen? What has always succeeded in their bullpen? Like Yuri De Los Santos and Brett Hedrick. Like they're good at creating relief pitchers. Luke Weaver, Clay Holmes, Tim Hill, like that's, but they bring in guys, Zach Britton, the name, it doesn't work as well for some reason. Now Bednar's look good.
Bednar's look good.
We'll see if that continues.
I'd be reminisced if I didn't bring up, though, and we got this whole episode without even talking about this last week, Joel. Boone bringing in Devin Williams after seeing he doesn't have it.
So again, that is to me about feeling the game. And I would argue, and it's wrong to do for me, because Aaron Boone played, his brother played, his father played, his grandfather played. It feels like his baseball soul should be intact. And I understand that there was and if you look at it, they did not use either of their 2 lefty relievers in this series until yesterday. The Astros are so heavily right-handed. They traded Kyle Tucker. Yordan Alvarez has played about 15, 18 games. It's like 19 games, something like that this year. He's hardly played. And so, like, they traded for Sanchez. Caratini is a switch hitter. But essentially, they're heavily right-handed. And so he was trying to play this series by hiding Hill and Hedrick. I get it. So he gets to a crisis point because it's an extra inning game on Friday night. And I think his choice is Devin Williams against righties or Hill or Hedrick and lose the platoon advantage. And I think that this is a 3:00 decision and not a Devin is going bad. We're back home. This was bad on the road. At home, this could become merciless. I must feel this right now. I must feel it. I must feel this. And I'll either trust in Hedrick's stuff or Hill's balls fortitude to try to do the best here. But I don't, unless this game goes 12 or 13, I'm going to try to stay away from Devin. I'm looking for a soft landing spot. And I think that's a 3 o'clock decision and not a I feel the game. Now, I don't have to do this, but I'll be fair. I would not have put Stanton in right field on Saturday. Because again, the last thing I want is like I have to think about everything, I think, if I'm in charge. If Stanton looks the bad part out there and or gets hurt on Old Timers Day, I've made it too easy for the world. I've made it too easy for the world. Like ultimately, I have to live with the reality that we have an incredibly limited player on the team. And I am not going to put him in harm's way because I need him to bat 4 times a game. I'll hope Judge gets to play in the field as soon as possible. But I would not play Stanton in the field. I wouldn't risk it. I don't think it's worthwhile. I know I'm going to get here's the thing is if I play him in right field and I lead, I'm probably getting 3 at bats from Stanton, right? And those are valuable. Like he's doing a lot of damage at a time where there's a lot of Yankees struggling on offense. But I know I'm going to get an at bat every day from Stanton as a pinch hitter. And I could time that at bat for maximum impact on the game. I wouldn't, and he went out and he played right field okay, and he had impact offensively with multiple at bats on Saturday, and then he double switched into the game yesterday with no, bad results. I wouldn't put him in right field. And I certainly wouldn't have put him in right field on Old Timers Day. Like I would have said this, and again, I don't know if anyone sits up in a meeting and says, "You're just asking for it, man. You're asking for it." And so I have to always be honest. I first think I'm watching the game that night and I'm just saying, I know what he's doing. He does not want to feed a lefty to the Astros.
100%.
I get it. I understand the philosophy, but deep breath, risk reward. I guess you could say the reward is if Devin Williams does what he did yesterday, which is strike out 3 guys in a row.
Yeah.
I kind of got him back. The crowd's, we're going to beat the Astros on a Friday night, come back, win the game, blah, blah, blah. Now he's along with the new guys, whatever. And I guess you could look at it that way also. But I just the relationship between this player and the crowd is so fractured.
Yep.
Beginning, again, we're not going to relitigate Beardgate or anything, but there's going to be a certain group of fans that is always going to go back to, we changed the rule for this guy. And that's going to be part of it. And you have to live with your most obscene fans. They're part of the group. Unless everyone's, and I'll even say this. The Yankees love to use the term, hey, that's noise, or we need to block out the noise. Dude, you're creating the noise. The noise is not unjustified. Stop it. You act like this is New York noise. If you played like this anywhere, with your level of expectation and your star talent, there'd be fucking noise. Okay? This is not the Beard. We could talk about if that's extra noise or whatever. But the way you're playing, that's not unjustified noise. That's self-created noise. Right? And for anyone, especially who has picks here, the manager has agreed to manage here and signed 2 extensions. Right? The GM has been here forever. The star player has re-upped to be here. You know what this is. Please do not talk about noise, especially when you're creating it.
Well said, Joel. And listen, we're going to pay attention to what's going on here the next couple of weeks. We'll see what happens if they can somehow try and turn this around and right this ship. But
let's do this today. I hate predictions, but I think about this all the time.
Yeah.
Let's do today's August 11th.
Today's August 11th.
What is the number of games that will be needed to be won to be no worse than the 3rd wild card in the American League?
Well, right
Because
now the
that's a
Yankees.
way to think. That's a way
Yeah.
to think about the Yankees. Like I'm gonna say you're gonna have to get to 87 minimum. I'm gonna say 87 is the minimum. And so when I watch the Yankees, one of the things I'm thinking is it's a Project 88 season. Can this team get to 88? And look, 88, but maybe that will be wrong. Maybe it'll be 91 by the time we're done. Maybe a bunch of teams will play well down the stretch. But just as I'm watching the American League, I'm thinking 87 and a half feels like the number for the third wild card. So you probably have to get maybe 88. Is this a team that could get to 88? And I continue to believe that this group of Yankees, like I understand I'm lowering the standard from winning the division, winning it comfortably, having the best record in the league, having a bye. At this point, they've created crisis. You got to get in. The number is probably, if you get to 88, you'll get in. I still think they can get there. But you know what? These next 9 games are important because I'll never forget something Buck Showalter said early on. I remember the Yankees were playing important games and they had a weak part of their schedule and they weren't playing well. And I said, "You got a weak part of the schedule." And he said, "Yeah, but what if they're all thinking we're the weak team?" And I was like, "Right." So like the Twins, the Cardinals, and Rays might be going, "Well, we're going like crap, but at least we're not them." So this is a moment. Like, are those weak teams that a good team is about to get healthy on? Right? There's a good belief that sometime in this week they're going to get Judge back on the field. Right? Like that feels like a progression towards where they're heading. They're playing 3 teams that have been severely hurt by the trade deadline roster wise, beginning with the team they always beat up. I feels like a 9 games to look at it and say, hey, we've righted it and we're ready to play 570 ball the rest of the way and get to at least 88. Or we're the weak team that everybody's hoping will show up in town.
Yep.
It feels like that moment. Again, maybe they're going to have a 1995 September and these 9 games won't matter and they'll figure out a way, whatever. But I think we've done this long enough, Ryan. I've tried to dismiss this is an important game. This is an important series. It's 162 games. This little block here, especially because it's opening with the historic team you beat that has just traded away half its roster, whose star player in center field will either play some or none of this series. So, if this doesn't open with 2 out of 3 against the Twins at minimum, and then a winning series against St. Louis, and then maybe even taking 2 in Tampa, which is also your home field in Tampa. Can we say 6-3 has to be the only acceptable outcome in these 9 games is 6-3?
I was saying 7-2, but yeah,
Okay.
6-3.
Okay. 6-3 kind of because here's the thing is I feel like if you go 6-3 in this period, the way that everyone plays each other, you probably wake up 2 games clear of minimum
Cleveland.
of who's ever 7th in the league.
It's Cleveland
Yeah,
right
it's
now.
Cleveland,
So.
but there's other teams in there. There's Texas,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like at some point you want to create some distance because what you'll have in September is, can you get to first?
Mm-hmm.
Can you win the division? I think Toronto's still a very vulnerable first place team. It might be to Boston that they're vulnerable, but I don't look at Toronto and go, wow, there's a team that can't collapse now. I think the American League is weak again.
Yeah.
The Tigers are having a season something that looks like the Yankees, which is they played about a third of the season like they were going to win 105 games, and it hasn't been good for a while now. And they're lucky they're in the Central, where they're being pressed, though Cleveland is starting to move up. It's just a long-winded way of saying I think it's 88, 87, 88. I think the Yankees could get there, but these 9 games say something, and a starting pitcher who could get some outs in the 6th inning, heaven forbid in the 7th, would go a long way to making things better for them because they don't play comfortable games even when they win right now.
Nope.
For a team that has an offense, there's not enough 9-4 games.
Nope.
There's not enough 10-3 games
Nope.
for them. And they need to beat the heck out of the Twins. Like the Twins should be vulnerable to them. And throwing righties at their stadium with this roster, it's beat up time. And if you don't, I think you have to look in the mirror and say, like if you don't, what's the move? Is it Rounders, where it's like if you don't know who the sucker is 5 minutes into sitting down at the poker table, you're the sucker. If they don't take care of business in the next week and a half, I think we could look at it and say, well, they were the team that should have sold that bought.
We'll see. We'll see, Joel. Joel, you're the man, as always. Hope you feel better, one. And two,
Thank you.
Thank you as always for coming on here. Fans love you. Fans have been enjoying this, I think, all season long, and we're seeing the viewership. Appreciate all you continue to come out and watch and support the show. And as always, hit that like, hit that subscribe button on the New York Post Sports YouTube channel. You can catch Joel later today. He's gonna be talking to Harrison Bader on the show. Give a little plug and promo there as well.
With my partner, John Heyman.
John Heyman, of course. Yep. Of course. Joel Sherman, you're the man. Thank you as always.
All right, Ryan. Peace to you, and thanks everyone for watching us.